So a couple more
Okay.
questions. I mean,
Cool.
what was it like having your company in London? What was the kind of, I mean, you couldn't have been more than a handful of companies in London that was running titanium and a DMLS
No, no,
system. Like,
yeah, yeah, no, no. I think very famously, I think we were the only commercial entity that did it in the inside of the London
before
region.
the fire marshals got a hold of it.
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting thing because we have a very different model to the US. So, the fire marshal thing that you guys have here, which obviously changes on a city by city basis,
Yeah.
we had a very different approach. They were more concerned with the argon gas storage than they were with this our titanium 3D printer. But I think that might just be a bit of naivety to what was actually going on. But yeah, so um, yeah, I think. I think one of the challenges of the space in terms of London was, yeah, that like London doesn't typically have a huge amount of hardware, like based companies out there or like manufacturing companies. So like, 3D Print UK, Digital Widgets at the time, like we're mostly plastic printing bureaus. The only other metal was Imperial College, London, where we built a little site, there was a little site there which was obviously then academically research focused. Um, and so yeah, there was just hardly anyone. I mean, there was definitely no such thing as like a design firm or predominantly a design engineering consultancy that was running systems, right? Like mostly everybody was in the prototyping space. So we were unique, but also it posed a couple of interesting challenges. The other side of it is that there wasn't a huge amount of additive really happening in the space, right? So, but I think we were kind of optimally positioned from a point of view of, on one end, we could access Europe really easily, so with all of the kind of industry that exists there, and then the US wasn't too far either, so there was an opportunity to work there, but it wasn't like we existed within a big additive space or anything like that. What we were doing was relatively unique in that area. But what was quite rich in London space was the design and the engineering side. Like, there was a lot of that kind of stuff, and we had a strong network on that. But I think that was a blessing because I think it kept us really focused. Like the technology was a means to an end rather than being the kind of core premise of value. When you go to like trade shows and conferences, you can't help but get the impression that additive is the magic bullet, and everyone can't keep talking about how magical it is, right? And yet the reality is that outside of that bubble, no one cares. I can give my mother like an injection molded part and an additive part, and she has literally no care about it. And that's the same for most industries. I mean, especially when you're talking about commoditized manufactured plastic and metal parts, like no one, like a lot of our design engineering capability doesn't have to be familiar with that. Like they just need to have a drawing with a spec on it, and then it's your job to meet the spec. No one cares if you have a process which, sure, it's magical, in the sense of it like builds parts immediately without the need for a tool, but it's not inherently. But that doesn't actually matter. No one really cares about that from a part perspective. And the other side of it is like for all of that, the toolless nature of it, like the economics that we've kind of built around it typically don't always compete. Sure, I mean, you don't have to build a tool, but like, with the cost of systems as they are right now and the cost of operating them, it's still really difficult to make a business model which actually like feels anywhere near attractive. You've really got to get the most out of those machines to do that. And we worked a lot on that, especially on the laser powder bed side.
Be sure to check out our website, www.3degreescompany.com, for more content.